To predict a person's health in their 70s or 80s, the deciding factor isn't necessarily cholesterol levels or body weight, but rather stem cell activity. Contrary to the popular belief that this is an incredibly expensive therapy available only at luxury clinics, our bodies actually have 70 million stem cells just waiting to be awakened. As an emergency medicine and preventive care physician with nearly 15 years of experience, I've realized a truth that goes against what we're often taught. Aging doesn't have to mean decline or chronic disease. Even more incredibly, research shows that consuming certain foods can double the amount of stem cells in your blood in as little as 30 days. In this video, I'll show you exactly how to activate your body's natural stem cell production using foods you can find at any grocery store. We'll explore the specific mechanisms that make this method work, the incredible scientific findings behind stem cell regeneration, and most importantly, the exact protocol you can start today, which can show results in just one day. Before we dive into the details, I have a quick reminder for you. Many viewers have told me they watch the videos regularly, but accidentally forget to hit the subscribe button. Please take 2 seconds to check and subscribe right now. This completely free action is a huge help, allowing this evidence-based health knowledge to reach more people who need it. Now, let's understand what stem cells really are. Because while most people have heard the term, they don't grasp why they're so crucial for healthy aging. Imagine your stem cells as the natural repair and regeneration force already present inside your body. In your youth, this force is abundant, constantly working to survey and fix damage, from repairing a blood vessel, showing signs of plaque buildup, to rebuilding worn-down joint cartilage. As the body gets older, these 70 million stem cells don't disappear, they just become inactive and their responsiveness decreases dramatically. The key takeaway is that certain specific nutritional compounds can act as activators, waking up and mobilizing this force to get back to work. A landmark study from the University of California, San Francisco, UCSF, proved this with concrete clinical data. In a study of 16 male patients over 50 with coronary artery disease and weakened arterial walls, scientists had them consume a drink containing 375 milligrams of cocoa-derived flavanols twice a day. After just 30 days, using a medical technique called flow cytometry, the results showed that the amount of circulating endothelial progenitor cells in their blood had doubled. Furthermore, these cells were actively repairing damaged blood vessel tissues, reversing the hardening process. Using a method called flow-mediated dilation ultrasound, the elasticity of their blood vessels was recorded to have improved twofold, restoring circulatory function to a level comparable to that of healthy young individuals. And here's the fascinating part. The medical mechanism behind this process is very clear. It depends on a group of compounds called polyphenols, specifically the subgroup proanthocyanidins. When you consume dark chocolate with 70% or more cocoa, you're taking in a large amount of these plant-based bioactive compounds. During digestion, they are broken down, absorbed into the bloodstream, and send out specific chemical signals aimed directly at the bone marrow, the largest reserve of stem cells. This signal triggers a natural physiological process, stimulating stem cells to leave the bone marrow, enter the circulatory system, and immediately begin repairing aging organs. Once in the circulatory system, this network of stem cells demonstrates an incredibly precise ability to target the exact tissue locations that need repair. For instance, if you have cartilage degeneration in your shoulder joint or micro-injuries in your blood vessel walls, this force of cells will automatically concentrate in that area to carry out the physiological repair process. This internal recovery process happens continuously every day, although we rarely notice it. The reality is that the human body is always undergoing degeneration. Every physical activity, digestive process, or even breathing generates small injuries at the cellular level. This is a completely normal physiological phenomenon, but without the timely patrol and intervention of stem cells, this damage will accumulate over time. This accumulation over decades is what leads to severe structural weakening of organs in old age. The good news is that the nutrients capable of activating stem cells don't just work through a single mechanism, but operate on multiple biochemical pathways, simultaneously optimizing the body's regenerative potential. The first pathway is the direct mobilization of stem cells from the bone marrow. When proanthocyanidin compounds isolated from dark chocolate or berries enter the bloodstream, they specifically bind to receptors on the stem cell membrane. This biochemical reaction immediately triggers a release mechanism, sending a chemical signal that awakens dormant cells and dispatches them into the circulatory system. The second pathway involves controlling systemic inflammation. Many people mistakenly think that all forms of inflammation are dangerous, but in reality, short-term, acute inflammation is essential. Let's say you have a mild muscle strain after a morning workout. The local swelling is actually your immune system concentrating on clearing damaged tissue to prepare for regeneration. The real medical problem arises when this inflammation becomes prolonged and chronic, at which point inflammatory mediators destroy healthy tissue instead of protecting it. The presence of polyphenols in dark chocolate blueberries or pomegranates acts as a physiological regulator, maintaining just enough inflammation for recovery, but actively inhibiting it from becoming chronic. The third pathway is directly related to angiogenesis, which is the body's ability to form new microvessels to ensure an adequate supply of oxygen and nutrients. In this regard, a prestigious randomized controlled trial from King's College London, published in the Journal of Gerontology, has provided extremely precise data. The study was conducted on a group of people aged 65 to 80 who were supplemented with an extract equivalent to 200 grams of natural blueberries per day. After just 28 days, blood tests from the participants showed a sharp increase in circulating endothelial progenitor cells, which helped improve blood vessel dilation by up to 20%, while systolic blood pressure decreased significantly. This restoration of the capillary network means that muscle or nerve tissues that were previously oxygen deprived suddenly received a rich blood supply again. As an emergency doctor who always demands measurable medical evidence, I was truly convinced by this clinical data. Following up on those landmark findings, an independent research group at Tufts University also began to analyze in greater depth elderly individuals showing signs of severe metabolic decline. In a double-blind randomized clinical trial published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, scientists tracked 138 individuals between the ages of 50 and 75. Half of the participants took a placebo, while the other half consumed an extract equivalent to 150 grams of fresh blueberries daily. After 6 months, the blueberry-consuming group showed significant improvement in endothelial function, a notable reduction in arterial stiffness, and optimized insulin sensitivity. Let me explain exactly what happens when you eat the right kinds of food. To help you visualize when we consume blueberries, the body takes in a large amount of anthocyanins, the bioactive compounds that give the fruit its characteristic deep blue color. As they pass through the stomach, the structure of the anthocyanins remains largely intact thanks to a protective layer of natural fiber. They then move into the small intestine and are absorbed into the bloodstream. But here's where it gets interesting. The key to this medical process lies in the gut microbiome. Beneficial bacteria there receive and convert these polyphenols into short-chain fatty acids, especially butyrate. In the digestive system, butyrate plays a crucial role because it is both the primary energy source for the cells lining the gut mucosa and an extremely potent anti-inflammatory agent. According to a detailed medical report in the journal Nature Immunology, this endogenous butyrate concentration can inhibit the production of cytokines, helping to reduce systemic inflammation markers by up to 50% in elderly patients with chronic inflammatory syndrome. As a result, your body gets a powerful 1-2 punch. Anthocyanins both directly activate stem cells and extinguish inflammatory hotspots, while also nourishing the gut microbiome to synthesize its own natural anti-inflammatory agents. This explains the intimate connection between digestive health and the immune system's capabilities, because about 70% of the body's immune cells are concentrated along the intestinal lining. The physiological structure of the gut wall acts as a biological communication system where the microbiome and immune cells constantly exchange chemical signals with each other. When the microbial population maintains balance and diversity, it sends positive signals that help the immune system regulate inflammatory responses, creating the ideal conditions for stem cells to regenerate damaged tissues. Now, this is the point where most people get confused. They often fear that eating healthy means completely overhauling their familiar diet and adopting strict restrictions. Medical reality proves the opposite, especially for those over 60 whose digestive systems have adapted to a long-standing routine. Small, consistent adjustments are the key to sustainable results. The Rush University Memory and Aging Project tracked nearly 1,000 older adults, with an average age of 81 for almost 5 years. The clinical data showed that those who maintained a regular habit of consuming polyphenol-rich foods, including about 2 servings of berries per week, combined with a moderate amount of dark chocolate, had a neurological aging rate that was slower by up to 2.5 years, compared to the group with low consumption. Not only did this protect cognitive function, but practical physical metrics, like walking speed and hand grip strength, were also maintained at superior levels in this group. Therefore, you don't necessarily have to adopt extreme diets. The most optimal medical approach is to strategically add specific food groups that simultaneously activate multiple natural recovery mechanisms in the body. Think of it this way. If I told you there was a medicine that could double your stem cells, reduce inflammation, improve blood vessel function, and protect your brain all with minimal side effects, you'd probably want to take it. Well, that medicine exists. It's just not in a pill bottle. It's in the fresh produce section of your supermarket. So what can you actually do about this? Here is the specific protocol I recommend based on my research and clinical experience. First, establish a habit of consuming exactly 1 cup of mixed berries every day. Berries like blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, or blackberries all contain extremely abundant levels of anthocyanins, and combining a variety will provide a broader spectrum of polyphenols for your body. If the cost of fresh fruit is an obstacle, either because it's too expensive or unavailable, consider frozen berries. They work just as well. Biochemical analysis data in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry has confirmed that frozen berries fully retain their medical value. In fact, antioxidant concentrations are sometimes even higher because they are harvested and flash frozen immediately at peak ripeness. You can have them with breakfast, blend them in a smoothie, or simply eat them as a snack, as long as you maintain absolute consistency every single day. Second is to add about 30 grams of pure dark chocolate to your daily menu, ideally after lunch. You must choose a type that contains at least 70% cocoa content, but to optimize circulatory efficiency, a level of 80 to 85% will yield better clinical results due to increased flavanol concentration, reduced sugar. For those who can tolerate the inherent bitterness, 100% unsweetened cocoa chocolate is the most perfect choice to maximally trigger the release of endothelial stem cells without imposing a burden of excess calories. Third, maintain a habit of drinking 2 to 3 cups of tea per day, whether it's green tea, black tea, or oolong tea, as they all provide a large amount of catechins, a group of polyphenols with high biological activity. To prove this, the large-scale China Kadoorie Biobank epidemiological study, which followed over 500,000 adults for 7 years, came to a remarkable conclusion. People who drank tea daily reduced their risk of cardiovascular events and stroke by up to 20%, while also lowering the mortality rate from coronary artery disease by 22% compared to the non-drinking group. Medical data also indicates this effect is dose-dependent, reaching an optimal level at 3 cups per day. However, I must emphasize a critically important biochemical principle: absolutely do not add cow's milk to your tea. Contrary to common misconception, the casein proteins in cow's milk bind tightly with catechins, forming poorly digestible complexes and reducing the polyphenol absorption capacity of the intestinal lining by up to 80%. If you need to soften the taste, you should only use plant-based nut milks. This medical principle applies just as precisely to black coffee. Adding dairy cream will neutralize most of the core bioactive compounds that help protect the circulatory and vascular systems of older adults. Fourth, you should establish a habit of consuming 1 to 2 kiwis per day. Although rarely mentioned by the media as an optimal therapy from a medical standpoint, kiwi is an abundant source of ascorbic acid or vitamin C, which plays a core role in collagen synthesis, immune system regulation, and the inhibition of endothelial inflammatory responses. At the same time, each kiwi contains about 2 grams of high-quality fiber, which helps to quickly nourish the gut microbiome. A clinical trial published in the American Journal of Gastroenterology demonstrated that adding 2 kiwis per day significantly increased the concentration of the beneficial bacteria Faecalibacterium prausnitzii in a short period, optimizing nutrient absorption and improving bowel motility in older adults. Another superior physiological advantage is that this fruit has a very low glycemic index, with a slightly tart taste, and does not cause sudden fluctuations in blood glucose levels, like many sugary tropical fruits. Fifth, you need to incorporate mushrooms into your diet at least 4 times per week, whether they are button, shiitake, oyster, or portobello mushrooms. All of these varieties contain a specific bioactive compound called beta-glucan. This compound is not only a food source for beneficial gut bacteria, but also directly stimulates immune responses, promotes angiogenesis, and notably activates stem cells. A quantitative analysis from Pennsylvania State University in 2017 confirmed that mushrooms are the highest natural food source of L-ergothioneine, a powerful antioxidant that can actively accumulate in tissues to protect cells from severe oxidative stress. Since the human body cannot synthesize this enzyme on its own, obtaining it from food is a mandatory medical principle. Please note that the softening of mushrooms when heated does not diminish their nutritional value. On the contrary, the heat only partially breaks down the rough fiber while fully preserving the structure and increasing the bioavailability of beta-glucans. You can pan-fry mushrooms with olive oil and garlic, chop them into an omelet, or cook them in a soft soup to make them easier on the digestive system. Sixth, try to eat 1 avocado a day or a minimum of 5 per week. An average avocado provides up to 10 grams of mixed fiber, which can sometimes exceed the total fiber intake from all 3 meals combined, for many people helping to maintain digestive stability. More importantly, avocados are a rich source of potassium and oleic acid, a type of monounsaturated fat with biochemical properties similar to olive oil. Seventh, you need to include pomegranates in your nutritional protocol every day, either through fresh seeds, pure juice, or extracts. Pomegranates possess punicalagin, a compound with extremely powerful antioxidant capabilities. When it enters the digestive system, the gut microbiome converts it into urolithin A, moving beyond speculation based on animal models. A reputable double-blind clinical trial published in the medical journal Nature Metabolism in 2019 by the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology demonstrated that urolithin A directly restores mitochondrial function and significantly increases muscle endurance in older adults. Since fresh pomegranates can be time-consuming to prepare, you can absolutely use unsweetened juice or standardized supplement capsules. Here is some helpful advice that no one tells you. Based on 3 decades of practicing emergency medicine and geriatric care, I stress that the timing of nutrient intake is incredibly important. The body's self-regeneration mechanism operates at its peak during the deep sleep cycle, requiring a ready supply of biological raw materials. Your last consumption of dark chocolate or tea should be finished by 4 p.m., allowing sufficient physiological time for the system to deliver polyphenols into the bloodstream throughout the night. You must strictly avoid large meals within 3 hours of going to sleep. Forcing the stomach to work overtime at night will drain your internal energy, halt tissue repair activities, and hinder the release of stem cells. If dinner ends at 6 p.m., you should not consume any more food except for a few nuts if absolutely necessary. In parallel, maintaining electrolyte balance by drinking enough water is a mandatory directive. The most accurate gauge is the color of your urine. A pale yellow hue signals the ideal state. A dark color indicates a deficit, and a completely clear state warns that your kidneys are overworked. In particular, I urge you to immediately eliminate the habit of drinking water from plastic bottles. Modern biopsy tests have detected countless microplastic particles penetrating deep into body tissues, even crossing the blood-brain barrier, causing serious inflammation. Replace them with glass or stainless steel bottles. Finally, the biggest obstacle leading to failure is a lack of discipline. The activation of stem cells is a cumulative biological process, not a pharmaceutical drug that provides immediate pain relief. You are restructuring the foundational functions of your body, which requires at least 30 days of strict adherence to see quantitative changes, and after 90 days, the recovery effects will reach their optimal level. Aging is absolutely not synonymous with inevitable decline. People who maintain their vitality in their 70s or 80s don't do so because of a genetic miracle, but because they persistently follow scientific guidelines to maintain their self-healing systems. You can absolutely begin the process of restoring your own vitality starting today. In summary, our circulatory system contains 70 million endothelial stem cells that can be directly awakened through specific nutritional interventions. We have clearly identified the biochemical roles of flavanol-rich dark chocolate, anthocyanin-abundant berries, catechins, in pure tea, vitamin C from kiwis, beta-glucans in mushrooms, monounsaturated fatty acids in avocados, and HTs, the network of antioxidants from pomegranates. This group of nutritional interventions works simultaneously on multiple medical pathways, releasing reserve stem cells from the bone marrow, inhibiting chronic inflammation, stimulating the formation of new blood vessels, balancing the gut microbiome, and optimizing the immune system. The recommended clinical regimen is very specific. Maintain a daily cup of berries, Have 2 squares of dark chocolate that is over 70%. Cacao drink. 2 cups of tea with absolutely no cow's milk. Eat 1 to 2 kiwis. Add mushrooms to your diet 4 times a week. Eat an avocado on most days and enjoy pomegranates when they're in season. Start with 1 or 2 of these recommendations and gradually increase the amount because discipline will yield quantifiable results. Medical data from Dr. Dean Ornish's landmark lifestyle intervention study, published in the Lancet Medical Journal, confirmed that coronary artery disease and other cardiovascular conditions can be fully halted and reversed. In parallel, the Finger Multicenter clinical trial, published in 2015 in Finland, also demonstrated that proper nutritional intervention improves overall cognitive function by 25% in older adults. This clinical evidence reinforces the fact that the amount of circulating stem cells can double in just 30 days. Health in your later years is not permanently determined by genetics or the passage of time, but depends directly on your daily lifestyle decisions. You have far more control over your body's aging process than conventional medicine once led us to believe. If you found this medical data to be of practical value, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support is fundamental to spreading this evidence-based healthcare knowledge to the community. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.